Two Maids is a franchise,
Correct.
and you talked about kind of local mom and pop shops that could be out there. What was the decision on tag teaming with the franchise instead of just kind of going at it on your own, even though you had some kind of business experience over the last few decades?
So I tell people all the time, it's, a franchise is a business in a box, right? Open box, take the manual out and follow the instructions, and you should be successful. You should be. It's like a recipe. You can change things up a little bit, add a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that. But at the end of the day, it's a structure that should you follow that appropriately, you should be successful. And that was appealing for me as an individual who comes from a strategy background. I have a litigation, background, claims background, legal background from insurance. It made a lot more sense for me to duplicate a system that has been proven. Now I say that, and I was a pretty early adopter of Two Maids A Mop. I think the Virginia Beach operation was the 35th or 37th franchise nationwide. And then Chesapeake, Norfolk was 80 or 77 or 78. So I like the idea of the franchise because it was a system. It was proven. And then in this area, given, the DOD is safe, right? So like our economy isn't necessarily impacted by Wall Street and the stock market and things like that. Our area is pretty much dictated by the DOD and the military. And as long as we're building ships and slinging bombs and sending people over, to protect us, we've got a stable economy here. And people are always moving in, they're always moving out. I'm not sure if you guys have driven around Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk for a little bit, but they're still building houses and there's some of a crisis on that. So, and there's a surplus in money, right? Because we've pumped a ton of it into the economy over the pandemic. So, people are using that onto some services like ours. So, it just made sense for this area. And when I looked at the demographics and I looked at the competition, there was space in that market. So it was just a good model for the area.
Yeah, I ran in an area yesterday that I'd never run in before, and I was like, oh, there's all these new houses going up. It wasn't even that far from my house, so that was pretty well.
Yeah.
What was the reason that you left the insurance industry, and how did you choose Two Maids A Mop as this is my future?
Yeah, I burned out. I burned out.
Yeah.
I had a big organization, I had a lot of responsibility. I had a position that had a lot of responsibility, but it didn't have a lot of authority, right? So trying to get people to do something that they should do, but trying to enforce that it was just difficult in the role that I was in. I was traveling a lot. Young kids, essentially, single-handedly made my wife a single parent, because I was traveling so much. So it was difficult. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my position. I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed who I worked with. I met some fantastic people who I'm still friends with today, and who still support me today. And so that's fantastic. But, I got to a point where I had to make some critical decisions on, me, my family, my career. If I wanted to continue to advance, I'd have to move. And that move would have probably had to be to California. And it just wasn't in the cards. We're East Coast people. My wife's got a fantastic job. She's very respected in what she does. And so, she essentially became the priority, and so did my family. And so, which that should have been earlier than it was. But so yeah, I decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump ship. And I had this idea that I was going to buy this franchise and I was going to be an absentee owner. So I was going to still work in insurance. I was going to have this side hustle. And I was just going to kind of watch it from 10,000 feet. Right. But I was in a meeting, and the meeting, for insurance wasn't going the way I liked. And I kind of had in the back of my head, well, I kind of have this exit strategy. I'll be doing this for a little while longer. And, then I'll jump into this Two Maids thing. And I literally in the middle of that meeting said, I'm done. Today's the day. I'm done. And And that was it. That
You
was,
stood up and left, or like you realized at that point?
no, I had the realization. I didn't stand up and say, I'm out.
I mean, as the self-proclaimed greatest interviewer in the world, I have to ask that question because I want to visualize that thing where Lee Sheridan's like, I'm done, like I'm out, like flipping the table.
No, it wasn't that dramatic.
Well, you
But
made it seem like it was. So I mean, we
it
need
was dramatic to the aspect of, I went and, I called my wife and I said, today's the day.
So you had
Wow.
the business opened at that point, though, or no?
I hadn't even signed the contract.
So how do you? Okay, so walk me through, because I think a lot of people probably should put at least a foot in first to realize type of thing from a financial perspective, from a relationship perspective, a family perspective, all that stuff. Like, I mean, what ducks did you have in a row ready for that at that point?
Well, I had one duck in a row, right, and that was my wife. She gave me the green light.
It's an important duck to have in alignment with you.
yeah, without a doubt. So, I said she got a great job. She's got a great job with benefits and all that stuff through her. And she knew I was miserable. She knew I was unhappy, and she was unhappy because I was unhappy because I wasn't home. And when I got home, I was unhappy, right? And I was stressed out. So she's like, yeah, something's got to change, right? So when I made that call, I'm like, hey, today's the day. I can't do it, right? And she's like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then I called the CEO of Two Maids at that point, and I said, hey, I'm in. I'll meet you in Birmingham in 2 weeks, and we'll lock this down, and we're good to go. And he was flabbergasted. And that's what happened. I mean, that's literally what happened. I changed my flight plans and flew home that night. And my resignation was effective. Well, I gave my resignation that day. I think February 3rd was my last day in the insurance industry. And we went, full steam ahead and soft opening April 10th and grand opening April 17th of 2017.
560 something recurring customers. Obviously there's single use customers in there as well. What would the first kind of 6 months, 9 months look like in there?
So it's hard, it's hard because primarily our marketing is based on SEO, right? So as you guys know, search engine optimization takes a while to take root. It's not like you open your doors and Wavy TV 10 or Channel 3 comes and cuts a ribbon and says, hey, congratulations, Hampton Roads, they're open for business, give them a call. So it takes a while for you to populate higher on those search results. So the phone wasn't ringing, the phone wasn't ringing. I was just sitting there. I joke around. I tell people I was just sitting around drinking and smoking for, for however long. I had 2 employees and I had 2 customers. I was one of those customers. So it was difficult because the phone's not ringing and you scratch your head and you scratch your head for a long time. Like, hey, did I make the right decision? What the hell am I doing? How am I going to provide? Things like that. And it's scary. It's a scary 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But the phone rings. Emails come in. People do check you out on Facebook. They do follow you. They do check you out on Google and Yelp. And, they do support you. And then you find other business owners that support you. And when I left corporate America, I left a pretty strong support network, right? So there's an accountability component of corporate America. There's goals, there's objectives, there's people going to check in on you and hold you accountable. You jump out of that and you lose that framework. It's gone, so I was somewhat rudderless for a while and I found a good networking group and that was fantastic. And then I found entrepreneur organization and I surrounded myself with people who were smarter than me and who have done it before, who've been kicked in the teeth. And next thing you knew, I was a member of a couple different organizations, and I was sitting down at a table with some pretty smart people who gave me some pretty good advice. And then things started taking off, and lo and behold, here we are. I bought a building, and we've got a ton of customers. I got a couple of managers. I've seen some of my people go on to do great things. So it's a tough first year. There's no doubt about it. But it got a lot better.
So was it the first was it the first hard couple months that you realized, whoa, man, I cannot be this franchise owner that from afar? I can't remember the phrase that you said. Is that when you realized that, hey, I got to be directly involved with this? I've got to steer this ship and we've got to make this thing successful?
Yeah, I did from day one. I mean, I never was an absentee owner. I was always an owner operator. The initial objective, which was to, you know, have this at 10,000 feet and be an absentee owner, that never came to fruition because of that. Literally, that meeting that I had, you know, in one of our offices, the insurance office. That's where I just said, I can't do this, for lack of a better term, half-assed. I need to be the guy who's driving. And so I jumped in and you know, I learned all the hard lessons, you know, from behind the desk, of being an owner, not of being in insurance. I mean, I resigned and the next day I started this business.
You know what's interesting about that though is that you don't seem like, I mean, I don't mean this in a negative way, but you don't seem like the front man of the business. Like you're not like out there pushing it in the same way. It does seem like there's other moving parts that are doing it. And so it's interesting that you've taken such a necessary role in the company, obviously, but you kind of do it behind closed doors, if you will, where I think other people are, you know, just very vocal on that. And so it's interesting that you're still seeing those kind of results, but a lot of stuff is to the naked eye, if you will.
Well, I think a lot of it is, you know, so people, right? I mean, it's surround yourself with the right people. So, you know, Sandy is my operations manager, and I don't know what I would do without her. She runs the day to day. You know, they remind me on a regular basis, I don't need to be here. And sometimes when I am, I get in the way. So she runs the day to day. She knows what she's doing. She knows our customers. She's the one that talks to our customers. I don't. And then Liz is our ops assistant, and Liz is, you know, fills in the gaps where you know, Sandy has other things going on, and she manages our customer relationship management system that we have. And then I have Melissa, who came on board in October, November, and she's our staffing specialist. I mean, I need somebody who is, you know, essentially attracting, recruiting, interviewing, hiring, retaining, managing culture, managing kind of, you know, our the issues that we have in the office and our people. So Melissa's doing that, and she's doing a great job. It's, you know, it's surrounding yourself with people who are better at things than you are. And listen, I'm not a details person. And a good friend of mine, Tom Knopfsinger, said this before. He's like, listen, don't tell me how to make a cake. Just tell me we're having cake, when and where, right? So I use that analogy often because I'm not good at the details. I'm not. I could run the business, right? I have a good vision. I know how I want things to work. I think that I can lead people, and I think that I can inspire people, and I think I can help people. But at the end of the day-to-day nuts and bolts of what happens, it is run by Sandy and Liz and Melissa, and they do it well. And where we figure out there's issues in our system, we'll work around it, and we'll figure out how to fix it. But that's really, you know, while I am the guy, you know, kind of behind the scenes, I kind of want to keep it that way, right? Because the objective of any business owner is within a certain amount of time is to step away from the business. And I don't hide that. That's my objective within the next couple of years. Hopefully get another franchise on the other side of the water where it's desperately needed. Last year, we won the COVA Best of Business Award. We won the best cleaning company for both the Peninsula and the South Side. We don't do business on the Peninsula. so I guess that means we should put an office there. So
I love that. That's great.
So
yeah, but the thing is, it's really, really an important point, though. I mean, you weren't the absentee owner, and you were quite the opposite in the sense of you took ownership. I mean, it's amazing to me how many people that I talk to that as soon as they really, really lean into something and they put everything they can into it, it's like, wow, all of a sudden results start happening. And you were able to see things that you wouldn't have been able to see or notice otherwise. and expand things, going into laundry service, looking at the reoccurring customers that you have. How do you convert the one-timers into reoccurring? I mean, you wouldn't have been able to do that if you were absentee. So I mean, there's so much credit that goes to you and to those people that really take ownership of what they're doing and focusing on the process and the results.
Well, one of the things I looked at in our network, and I think just in franchising network and in general, is that you don't know what you don't know, and if you don't get close enough, you'll never know it, right? Mm-hmm. So I realized that pretty early on, and that's why I tried to and help out my peers as much as possible, because it's easy to miss the big stuff if you're not in tune with it. So that's one of the things, and quite honestly, I learned from the EO network and some other folks that you need to be close to your business in order to have the capability in the future to step away. Mm-hmm. And so I know how I can run my my systems. I could manage my CRM. I could manage my scheduling system. I could manage our gather up system, which is where we get feedback from our customers. I know how all those works. I know the nuts and bolts of it. Am I good at it? I'm good at it. Am I great at it? No, there are people who are better at it than I am. But, I think I've learned that you have to work in your business and be comfortable with how it works before you can, hire others to do it and trust them to do it. And then just rely on back end reports, right? So are things going the way they should? And, like anything else, I manage my KPIs. On the other side of this wall, I have a whiteboard where, I think, Zach, you saw it. So, I mean, I look at a couple different KPIs. I look at them daily, weekly, and monthly. And that is a very, very, very good indicator for me of, are we on track? And if so, then how do we capitalize on what's going well? Or are we not on track? And then I can go back in the reports and say, all right, so here's what's going on, right? So the pandemic hit us, right? It hit us hard. And we were on a great trajectory, and then we plummeted, right? I mean, it was the first quarter was that 2020. I mean, we were looking great. January was great. February was great. March was looking good. And then, we just took a dive, and then we came back and we came back pretty strong. But, we're still seeing it every now and again where we have, people canceling their services because, Omicron, we had that issue. We had the spike before that. So we see that, and it stings a little bit, but they always come back because, like I tell people, we sell dope here. We sell dopamine. When you walk in your house, Zach, you've done it. You walk in your house after we cleaned, and it smells clean, and there's vacuum lines, and there's nothing in the sink. Your shoes aren't on opposite sides of the room. We put them together beside your bed, and we fold the blankets on your couch, and we fluff your pillows, and we made your bed and stuff like that. Let me tell you something, that dopamine hits, and you're like, yeah, that was good money that we spent. And that's those nights you take your shoes off. You don't let anybody in your house with your shoes. You order a pizza. You yell at people, when they come in the house, don't touch anything. So that's what we sell.
That is true. Like, how long can I keep this clean for? To me, it's like, okay, like to find a place that your wife approves so you don't have to like handle that is a good perk. I'll call it dopamine if you want me to.
I call it domestic equity. We're selling
domestic equity. It's a great thing, and it's exciting to have there. When we